Hey man. Happy Monday, guys. Yeah, man, I got a fast block button today. Um, but yeah, happy Monday. Welcome back to the trading week. Um, we have a short week this week, so any Friday expiration volatility is going to be very, very high. For anybody who's not part of this part of our server, we're offering a 7-day free trial. In order to do that, visit goldrushgang.net, go to join us, and then you can go ahead and use the 7-day free pass. And once you're ready, and if you want to sign up, then go ahead and sign up for the monthly. It's $50 a month for now. The price is going up very, very quickly. My little girl is here. Hi, girl. Hey. Oh, wow. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it to Jay so that he can get started with his analysis. And I saw PayPal, so we're gonna get to your request in a second. Thank you for any other requests. Go ahead and throw it in the chat. I'm gonna go back on mute. Jay, it's all yours.
What up, guys? I feel like it's been a little bit since I've been on here. Good to be back at it. So let me share my screen here. And even though it's been a while since I've been here, I think last time I was looking at my notes, I think last time I was on one of these calls was right around here or so. And all I had to say was we're just gonna keep chugging away up. And look what we've done. Had a couple days, couple nasty looking days, 2 weeks ago, but we're just back to moving up. Daily chart doesn't really tell us much here in terms of what we're going to do, other than we're just going to keep moving up. Might be slow, might be fast. We are entering quad witching. So September is always one of the tougher months of the year. So kind of basically the game plan as far as the market, overall market goes, is what it's always been for the past month or so. Play tight, play quick, because my guess is if quad witching does what it does typically in September, we're going to start testing the 20-day again. Or we just move sideways and slowly move up. It's most likely going to be slowly sideways with maybe a couple bad days here and there, but drift back up, and it's just not going to be fun if you try and hit home runs. Look at the Qs. Basically same thing. Just been moving up. Pretty big volume day, pretty nice bullish looking candle. Didn't fully engulf Thursdays, but gapped down and almost took out the prior day's open. So that's a pretty bullish signal in general. But again, quad witching, wouldn't be surprised if we drift sideways. And I haven't looked at this yet today, but typically, better looking chart here. And IWM, which is usually the bellwether of everything, just hasn't really been doing much. It was starting to die, double bottom, triple bottom, quadruple bottomed here. Everybody that's heard me say long enough, I don't believe in anything bigger, more than a triple or a double bottom. Triple bottoms don't exist, but here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's bounced each time. So we're range trading in IWM. If we can break out, IWM typically moves first. So big test here in the 230, 232 area. If we can break out of that, then all bets are off and we're probably really, really bullish. But again, back into quad witching. If we look back at last September-ish, let's go back here.
Is IWM heavy enough to influence the market as a whole and like take SPY and Qs with it?
No, it's really not. Even though there's 2,000 stocks in there, they're all micro caps, right? Or basically micro caps or, you know, even mid caps. So it's usually just the bellwether. I mean, if these all go, then yeah, it can bring it up. But I would probably say that IWM will start it, and then SPY and the Qs will yank it up after it picks up steam, after they pick up their steam. You know, so, but we look back at last September for IWM. You know, it just basically sideways on a little, and a dip towards the end, you know, right out of quad witching, and then just back up. And my guess would be similar to that, unless we start to break out here. But I'd probably going to be sideways with a little bit of a dip, and then it finally should go. On the overall market, that is all I have now. The Kiwi was saying in the chat earlier, there's a lot setting up this week. I've basically got it down to these three though. Apple. And all it's been doing, even though it's been slowly moving up, it's still basically just consolidating and digesting this big move. So I would like to see another couple days here. Actually, Lasher just came in here, and he's the one who pointed this out to me. I think he wrote in the chat or in the server last week at some point that Apple with gap ups every day last week, but ended up being red candles, ended up closing lower, but still green on the day. Now it finally flipped that little pattern here, where it did have a small gap up from Thursday to Friday, but it actually ended up green and moving higher. So that is bullish to me. I think these are all bullish candles, even though they're red, in the sense that there was a gap up and it's still closed green. You know, so the 831 candle that closed at, oh, I forgot, 152, 151.83. This next day's candle closed at 152.51. So, you know, it's $1 up, even though that's a shitty looking candle. This is like a $2 gap up, even though that's a shitty looking candle. So now we're finally starting to see this one could be started to go. My guess is it probably moves sideways for a couple of days, and then we start to melt up. Next on the list is
real quick. Notice what Austin said, the double inside day, back-to-back inside day.
Yep.
So what that means, guys, for anyone who doesn't know, range contraction, the range of the days are getting smaller, and after range contraction comes range expansion. So we're gonna accept a breakout one way or the other. This is like an S-dot style play. So I'm loving this setup on Apple. So great job, Jay.
Yeah. Apple is just like Huey likes to put that GIF or GIF or whatever you want to call it out. It's not an ordinary Apple, and it's not like Apple's just been moving. You know, like you don't typically see moves like this out of Apple and moves like this out of Apple. She's playing well. She's actually playing. I mean, this was like written. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 small consolidation go. That's my triple top breakout play to a T. And now all it's doing is consolidating a little bit here. And then, like Austin pointed out, the double inside days here. If we get another one, I think, you know, we're probably poised for a nice little run in Apple. And if Apple runs, the rest of the market runs. If the rest of the market runs, maybe we get a different quad witching this year. Who knows? If we do get a different quad witching this year, this sets up different things for the end of the year. And we'll talk about those as we go forward, but you know, this is a nice little consolidation pattern here, and a nice for Apple to make a move. Next one on my list is AMD, and I honestly hate playing the stock, but this is a little too nice to say no to. Not the prettiest looking flag, but it's got enough there for me, especially after this big run up. And this is This is a pretty big move to digest in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days for a stock like AMD to get 32 points roughly. This needed to be digested. So this is all needed for its next run. Tapped up again, tried to go, couldn't. But like if you look at it here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 6 days as up days. So it needed a bit to digest here. So this next little move down here, it's starting to show. If this starts to curl here, my guess is AMD is going to make a big run. Kiwi, I got to hop for a quick second. I got to go on mute for a quick second.
Yeah, do your
if you
thing.
don't
I'll
mind
take over.
running through.
Yeah,
I'll be back in a second.
That's cool. I'll take over the screen. So I'm gonna go through continue. Let's see. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? Let me get a 1 in the chat if you can see my screen. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna blow through a couple of them real quick. And I see your request. We're gonna get to the request at the end. So the first one that I have on my list here is Palantir. I left this due diligence. I forgot when we posted this, but I'm actually gonna, let's see. Great move out the consolidation, gap and hold on support, inside bar on the weekly, possible 3 bar to the upside. So it was on this week that this analysis came out. So it did follow through. It didn't give us a 3 bar, although it was a strong bar on a 3rd bar, right? So 1, 2, 3 bar. It continued to move though, which is nice. We have an inside day on Palantir. Looks like, hold on, let me just zoom into that. Yeah, we have an inside day on Palantir. And so we can play this any which way. Actually, let me get rid of those 2 and let me move these down. So that's your range right there. Really, you can take Palantir and you can play it. You can play it if you want to get really aggressive, then you can play it at the break of the day's range, right? If you want to be a little bit more conservative, then you can wait until it breaks to previous day's range. So, I mean, it's a 10-cent difference between these two and a 15 cent or 13 cent difference between these two. But that 13 cents can make a big difference because it can break and fake you out, right? Same on this side, break and fake you out. So I really like the setup on Palantir. I'll go ahead and post a full DD on this. That was the last one I just didn't get to, but next one I have on my list is IQ. I called out an IQ play last week. Actually on Friday it might have been. I forgot, the days all blend together for me. So I like IQ because of this kind of double bottom that it formed on a daily right here. Obviously in an uptrend, and then TTM is about to flip to the bull side. The RSI stable, and the MACD looks like it's getting ready to rip to the upside. Put in some strong candles, showed weakness, and then regained strength. And the MACD line is pulling away from the signal line. So that's good. I think that's a very strong, very, very strong indication that we might move to the upside. IQ is one of those stocks that were affected by China's that whole Chinese era of regulation. They moved from tech companies into education companies, and now they're moving to something else. I bet you tomorrow is going to be something else, but that gives, now that they moved on, it gives room for a tech company such as IQ to continue to run. It formed an inside day on Friday. So you have the range right here. So you can play that. And if you want to be, let me just give you solid lines on those. Let's just give you solid lines on those. And if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, then you can take the break of the dashed lines. I like to play more, inside days. I like for the break of the actual full range. If we break to the upside, then we're breaking the high of the previous day as well, of Wednesday's price action. So IQ to the upside will be a very, very strong move. The only thing is we got this 9 moving average on the weekly that we have to test. So $10.60 might be a strong resistance. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a red line right there so we know that that's a resistance, a potential resistance. that we need to watch out for. And to the downside, you know, if we find some support, we're going to look for support around, if it does break at this level, if it does break over here, then we're going to look at these downside levels. And let me go ahead and label this so we know it's a resistance. Okay. So that's IQ. The next one that I have is coin. And these are in no particular order. But the next one I have is coin. And I love this setup personally. This is one of my favorite setups for the week. The reason why I like it is because it obviously made this massive move. And I had these two lines, this one and this one drawn, this up and down line drawn. And then I noticed that it looks like it wants to do kind of an Elliott wave 5 move sequence. So I just kind of drew the path of it out. Let's see how well it holds. What I like about this is there's a daily bullish cross on the MACD. So the blue line crossed above the orange line, and there's some green candles forming, and the signal lines are above the histogram 0 line. So that's very, very bullish, right? Like these signal lines, these lines act as kind of an RSI where there's a range, and they were just at the bottom of the range for this entire time. And now they're finally above that 0 line. This is the 0 line right here, right? Let me draw it out. Maybe I can draw this. Yeah, there's your 0 line right there, right? So they're both finally above it, and so that's a strong move. It like kind of went up, put some negative some selling pressure, and now it's back to the bullish buying pressure. So these are the levels that I have here. I have 270, 40, 276, 46 as support. We're currently at 278, and then we need to break 280 and 282 in order to try to test some of these upper levels. I'm going to go ahead and put one more line over here. This is the probably the strongest area that we have to break through before we go and hit the 300s and the 320s. So, and then there's obviously a natural resistance at 300.
I love that you're bullish going.
Yeah, I mean, and everything points to a nice bullish move in the crypto space period.
Yeah, it's up what, 52 now?
Yeah, it's up strongly above 50, which it was struggling with all last week, and it just made a nice move over the weekend. Hey, you want to take over for the next couple tickers?
I've only got one more left, so we're good either way.
All right, so let me run through two more, and then I'll give it back to you. So yeah, coin. I mean, I love coin. The rising support's holding from a couple of weeks ago, right? This support line right here is holding. There's decreased sell pressure on the TTM. The RSI is pointing up, and there's still plenty of room. If you put a volume profile on this, let me just throw it on real quick. Throw a volume profile on this. There's very, very little volume above 280. So 280 is like kind of where we are now. Once we can break up, the next real level is like, I want to say like 300 and then 332-ish. But, you know, underneath that, like between 280 and 300 and then 332, there's like no volume. So we can cut through it very, very quickly if we wanted to, if they're really bullish, right? And then I ran an IV scan using the bots, and I saw that the IV is extremely low compared to average. And like with everything is just buy low, sell high, right? So when IV is low, you can buy on low IV and hold it with enough time that when the IV rises, the price of your contract naturally rises. So that's something I always look at as IV. Okay, so the next one I have, and another really great setup that I have, is Moderna. Moderna, I mean, it's just super clean price action, like extremely clean price action. The weekly candle put in a bullish engulfing, right? Strong move. And then I actually want to throw the volume on this. You can see that all the moving averages is just above all the moving averages on the weekly, so that's nice. Made a strong move, but on lesser volume than previous weeks. So we want to see if there's conviction in this week in a upside move, and so what we want to see is more volume coming in for the week. So we just want to see some strong volume on this week. Big move, not so much volume. So we wanted to get at least above this average volume line. Obviously, it will take an entire week for it to form, but let's just look for volume coming in. If we look at Friday, Friday's price action had the most volume for the well, it was Monday and then Friday with the second largest price action. So we want to see a continuation. RSI and MACD show that it's bullish. So if you look at the MACD is about to flip to the bull side. We're about to get the bullish cross soon, any day now, right? RSI stable, pointing up, and the TTM is losing sell pressure. So those are all bullish signs. Yeah, waiting for MACD bullish cross, which is here. These two lines right here, and again, the IV is super low on this. In terms of targets, I would watch out for this resistance right here, and then these are the levels that we want to break up above. I'm gonna go ahead and change those to green so we don't get confused. But this is one of my favorite setups. I have yet to play Moderna. And as you can tell, otherwise I would have a million lines on this chart. But this is one of my favorite setups for the week, Moderna. The next one I have, and then I'll give it to Jay, is Dick's Sporting Goods. This is super simple. I mean, it just made it had really positive earnings. Nice strong week on that earnings beat. Where are we? Yeah, here's the positive earnings. It just gapped straight up, and then it didn't fall back down into the gap. That's a big show of strength. And then we put in this indecision candle on Wednesday, and we put in 2 inside days. It's not a double inside day, but it's these 2 days are still inside Wednesday's candle. Let me throw a volume study on this real quick. Actually, let's look at the momentum. So the MACD is very strong, losing buying pressure. So let's just watch that. RSI is extremely hot, but it's cooled down and it's kind of pointing up. So I mean, I don't know. The thing with RSI that I take with a grain of salt is like Tesla last summer ran at RSI of like 100 for like 2 weeks straight. So RSI is like, you got to take it with a grain of salt. But looking at these three together, it looks like it wants to swing to the downside. It looks like it wants to cool off. It looks like this wants to come back to zero. It looks like this is overextended and wants to pull back. I had a bullish case for this, but let's see what happens. If this doesn't try to take out 146.78, then we can come back to have it retest, I would say. So let's see. These are the 2 levels that are of interest. This level here, and I would say this level here are the 2 levels, the 2 targets for this. Yeah, I haven't checked the open interest on this. I haven't checked the flow on it. I haven't really looked at it. But one thing I will say, like, as a catalyst for a downside play, is that there's a dividend payout this week on the 7th, which is tomorrow. So tomorrow's dividend payout might bring this down from all the way up from 145, maybe down to 140 or below, maybe down to where these lower shadows are right here. So let's see what happens with the dividend payout. After the dividend payout's done, it might continue the upside move. But it's on my watch list for this week. I'll give it back to you, Jay, and then I'll take it back after.
Cool. All right. So back to my screen. And my last one was, I think I saw a couple of people asking for this on the chat. Oh. And I'm hoping everybody can see my screen. So that's what Zoom is telling me. The dash. This has just been looking fantastic. Like you don't really see much. Things look too much more bullish than you do with dash. So big move up, and as you can see here, I should actually move this one now. Big volume shelf right here. It's now starting to consolidate at another, more of a minor volume shelf, but there's still a bunch of volume there. This just looks like it wants to explode up. Nice, it's not necessarily a triple tap, but it is, by the letter of the law, 1, 2, 3, small consolidation, and then we should go. We've got the 20 MA, the 20-day curling up underneath it pretty well. That should use it as a catalyst to move up. And once it breaks out, 200 is your next natural resistance, whole number resistance. But if it can break above over 200, basically the sky's the limit on here. There's not much volume and this is year-to-date volume there. If we kick this back even to 5 years with dash, I don't think even has. Yeah. So this is all the volume here, and there's nothing there. So that's just basically, this has room to run easily. I hate to say like 260, but easily 220. if it can break above 200, and it's got to look where it really wants to go. Like I said, 20's moving up, triple tap, consolidation on a volume shelf. This consolidation itself, you know, from after this move from 140 to 185, you know, even if you want to drop it down to 180, it's had to digest that big move on its own, and it finally has. Big move up after, you know, after a morning dump or after a gap down right after earnings. Tested back into it, held the 50-day, popped back above the 20 the next day, and it looks like it's just got room to really, really go. Will it go next week? I don't know. My thought is it will, but if it doesn't, I would keep this one on your radar for a while. Let's just say, because it's got opportunity to run. And that was the last one I had. Sorry about the hopping out real quick.
Yeah, I've never seen so many green, like there's like so many green candles in that small little range. That's crazy.
Like it's all green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reds out of probably what? 15 greens?
That's insane.
10 greens.
Yeah, that's a nice setup. And all those moving averages are all pretty tight together, all pointing up. Nice setup on this. Very nice. Yeah. All right, cool.
Let's get back to the chat, I guess. We'll just go from the Huey. I'll give it back to you. That last question in there you see about Dick's.
Yeah. So I'll go back to it real quick. Let me just share, continue. Okay, so back to Dick's Sporting Goods. Does Dick's Sporting Goods look like a possible put that may fall $4? So I like, so there's so these two, let me zoom in on it so we can see a little more clearly. So this Friday's price action and Thursday's price action fall inside of Wednesday's price action, right? Because the range of Wednesday was a high of 147, let's call it, to a low of 139. And so this can go either way. I think that based on all the momentum indicators, such as the MACD, right? So here's the MACD, which is way up high and curling over, right? And then even the blue lines kind of looks like it wants to start flattening to come back down. And then the RSI, which is extremely, I would call it extremely high. I play a range of between 30 and 60. Excuse me, 30 and 70. Hold on, guys. Let this ambulance pass. No, it's all right. Yeah, so forgive the ambulance, guys. So I usually like to, and again, RSI I play with a grain of salt, but you know, objectively, it's just very high up. 80 is extreme. 80 is pretty high. 90 is extremely high. 100 is, I don't think these things hit 100. NYC background music. That's right. It's loud out here. So yeah, so the MACD's up high, the RSI is up really, really high, and the range, the normal range is 70 to 30. So it looks like it wants to come at some point, needs to come back down into this range in between these blue lines. And then the TTM, which is a momentum indicator. Let me change the colors on these so you can see. I don't know if you guys can see this light blue extremely clearly. Let's see. I'm just gonna turn it to let's just change it to purple. Okay, so it's up high, it's extended. Like you could see the highs of these previous TTM lines were at 8.4 and 7.8, and this was all the way up at 22. So this is just extremely, extremely high. That being said, I see those along with dividend payout on the 9th, it looks like, are all catalysts. You know, the dividend payout's a catalyst, and then the technicals say that it's a potential downside move. Now, a break of that 140, 141 will give it for sure 139 to test this previous support of this day, right? That range that we were talking about. And if it breaks that range to the downside, then the previous downside support is at 137. So that'll be your $4 move. That'll be your $4 move, or $5 move rather. And then if it breaks below this, then, you know, we can even target. I don't see it falling below that, but if it does, we can target 135. So that'll be a really, you know, a 7-point downside move. So yeah, it does look like a put, and it looks like it can fall that many, you know, this many dollars for sure. If it breaks this black line, definitely to this one. And then if it's strong enough, then, you know, it'll keep going down to these levels. So what I would do is I would look at, and I don't think that DKS has ever been this high. Yeah, it's never been this high in the past. Actually, let me confirm that. Yeah, this is the first time that it's been this high. So it makes more sense for me for it to come down a little bit, down to like around here, the 130s, maybe not break down into this gap, and then work its way back up. But people like it, you know, people like it. The dividend payout's gonna, it might be, it might give us that base that we want, and we'll watch it. And DKS they have extremely cheap options. And we've been getting the volatility, you know, look at these 5 days, we got a nice volatile move. Look at these days, you know, even the downside days, look at these moves on these days. So, you know, we're looking for the same kind of thing. We had a nice green solid move, maybe sideways for a week, maybe down for a week, you know, but it's gonna stay on my watch list. That was a great question. The next one I have is Playboy. The reason why I like Playboy for just 2 reasons why I like Playboy. So same thing as DKS, double inside day, not back to back, but both Friday and Thursday are both in the range of Wednesday's candle. The MACDs is bullish, RSI is stable and pointing up, and the TTM just put in a bullish day on Friday, and so we can possibly get a continuation. Though this is an inside day and an indecision doji, it made a green day on the next day. And so if we continue this trend and we break above this previous high, then we can break out and test, you know, these highs over here. Now, I'm bullish on Playboy. However, I'm not gonna ignore this massive potential bear flag that I saw on the weekly, right? Look at this weekly, look at this massive downside move, and then potential retracement to this level where we have 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of sell pressure at this level. Maybe we get a bullish week or two into this level and then sell off and then continue this. Maybe, you know, obviously sell off, possibly make an H, which means we will test this bottom over here and possibly break the H for a continuation and end of a bearish move. I mean, look how crazy Playboy went, and then look how fast it fell, right? So anything can happen from here. I like it for an upside move this week and next. There's no catalyst in sight at the moment. The next earnings is on December 1st. I don't know if they have any kind of, they don't have any dividend according to what I'm seeing on the chart. I don't know if they have any partnerships or anything, so I would just watch out for some news on them to push the stock anywhere. But right now it's all technicals on Playboy. The next one that I have is Wish, which is just very quick. I don't really have much. The last time I did analysis on this was like 2 weeks ago. Let's see. I like this company personally with low shares while they keep it down. So they've been keeping it down and I've been buying shares. And this week I just put buy shares and chill, right? Buy shares and chill. There's a potential gap fill to the upside here. Hold on. There's a potential part of the noise now. There's a potential upside gap fill here. We tried it on Wednesday. So Wednesday was just a massive bullish day, apparently. And then we sold off, I guess, on the news. There was, I think Biden was speaking that day. To me, this kind of looks like an upside move and with a little flag. It also kind of looks like a cup and handle forming. And this buying pressure on the bottom of this candle shows me a lot. So I'm hoping that we can continue this move. I've been buying shares. I've been just, taking it easy. This is a nice, smooth stock to buy. It IPO'd at $22. And if we look at, I'm going to go back to coin for a second. If we look at coin IPO'd all the way at 381, and then it broke down all the way to 212, and then now it's working its way back up finally. So I see potentially the same thing with Wish. If you guys look into the fundamentals of Wish, you know it's a very strong company. I've shared some stuff in the homework channel. You can go ahead and just do a search on the ticker symbol and you'll find it. I would buy shares. Wait for the whatever broker you have to tell you that it's up 3% on the day, and then think about getting contracts once it starts entering this gap. So that's what I have on Wish. FUBO. What do I like about FUBO? I have this flag, but I don't necessarily know why, and maybe this is a flag from last week. Although I will say we put in a higher high in a week. We're starting an uptrend. We had a strong move on this, whatever day this was. I made this candle. What was it? Oh, the gap up on earnings. Yeah, strong move on the gap up on earnings. It has some partnership news, and so it fell off. It sold off. It made a 1, 2 triple bottom, maybe quadruple bottom, or whatever. However many bottoms you want to call this, right here. Right here. Bunch of bottoms there. It just tested that support a bunch of times. It even broke out and then came back to test that support, and now it's working its way back up. So I got to get a little bit clearer with this, but I'm gonna go ahead and post this in the room with some levels to play. The next one I have is Draftkings. The reason why I like Draftkings is because we had that inside week last week, right? That whole week, even with good volume, that entire week pretty much stood at the top, like 30% of this previous candle. We hit the double bottom and we just formed this strong consolidation. It didn't really do much for these few days. And now it finally kind of broke out and tested that top of that range as support. So I want to see it, all that buying pressure on the bottom of this candle looks like it just wants to keep going up. So let's see. Aggressive entry right there at 61.14. I will call a little bit of a more obviously this is the best entry here at 61.77 is your absolute best entry. It hasn't given us that entry personally yet. The one that I want personally is I tried this day, but it failed. So let's see if it can continue. Maybe it'll trade in this range, which won't be bad, but I'm gonna take it above a break and hold of 61.77 personally. If you want downside, then you can play the break of this level here back down to the previous level. What else? Only thing is the buy pressure is slowing down on the MACD. RSI is pretty high and it looks like it wants to turn around, and so is a TTM pretty high. Looks like it wants to turn around. Let's just keep that in mind. Maybe it goes sideways. Hopefully it does. Another one that I have on my list is Twitter. I like Twitter because it's been holding this uptrend for all this time. It obviously broke down on this price action here and kind of flew right back up into it. If you look on the weekly, yeah, I mean, it broke down, it found the support, and then it just bounced out of that. Like it just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 back-to-back green weeks, and then 7 back-to-back green weeks and 8, 9, 10 weeks with all new highs, you know, from this low, higher high, all the way through to this day, this week. Yeah. There's a bunch of fires in my neighborhood, guys. It's crazy out here. Summertime's hot in New York City. So yeah, we filled this gap. Actually, there's a bunch of volume trading along this gap here, which is nice. So we're near that rising support line. We want to try to test. So this came down to test this previous resistance. This is all resistance here. So it came down to test it. MACD's bullish, RSI is mild and stable, and TTM is about to flip to the upside. I ran an IV on this. The IV is historically low, and I ran the algo bot thing that we have, and the money's flowing into it. Actually, if you look at it real quick, let me see if I can pull it up. I'll post it with my DD. But basically, I ran a TradyTix algo flow for Twitter, and the price action is coming down a little bit, but the money's flowing into it, and the money that's flowing into it is pointing up. So the price is pointing down, but the money's pointing up, and that's called the divergence. Typically, so Baidu, we played Baidu last week, and I called it out when I saw that there was a divergence on an algo flow. And I'm seeing the same thing with this. Anybody will look at this and think this is a bearish move, possible H. But I just, you know, for me, I think it's super bullish. I'm gonna probably take a play on this on Monday for 2 weeks out for 917. I really like Twitter. Twitter is a strong play for me. Next one I have is Etsy. So for Etsy, I really like the bullish engulfing on a daily. Massive green candle on the daily that took out all this candle, and actually it took out 1 and 2, almost 3. Well, it took out 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, all these highs, pretty much all these highs. And now we are in this kind of choppy area. I personally wouldn't take it until it gets above this line here, 225. It's a $5 move that we missed, but I'd rather do that $5 move and then show me the strength, and then you can take it up to the upside. You can take the continuation. Let's see. And then if we look at the weekly, it was kind of forming this triangle, and it broke out of the triangle. It's just breaking out to make new highs. So I like it. 225 is the first target, and that will be my entry. The next target would be, you know, take out these previous highs, and then you get 230, then you get to 35. So I'm gonna keep it on watch. They have earnings coming up in November, which is not anytime soon. It looks like Twitter and Etsy want to make a bullish move. Let's look at pins real quick because I know they kind of run the same. Yeah, all these charts look different. I like the buy pressure on all 3 days. On all 3 charts on that last day. Right, Twitter and Etsy look more similar. Sorry, Twitter and pins look more similar, and Etsy is a little bit more bullish. So I'll post some entry levels and stuff. My particular entry will be 225, but I'll give you some more aggressive entries. The last one that I have on my list is DOCU. What I like about DocuSign is, and I left the previous due diligence on this. Where is it? Where did it go? And then we'll get to, I saw there was a couple of requests. So we'll get to, oh, it's right here. So the due diligence was from 2 weeks ago, from this red week right here, this red week, the week of the 16th of August. So we had a weekly bull flag. We bounced off the 9 EMA on the weekly. Let me go ahead and post this so we can see it. Yeah, so we bounced off the 9 EMA on the weekly on this red week. Making higher lows on a daily and weekly so far. COVID as a catalyst might give it a bounce, which it did. It gave us a nice bounce for the next couple of weeks, right? Two weeks of a upside move. And if you could have played the fibs and you would have made money, whatever. This week's due diligence on this, I really like it. So we had that positive earnings report, which made it put a crazy move in on Friday. Let me just zoom in on it. Had a positive earnings on Thursday, which made it give a crazy move on Friday. The bull flag, so it formed that flag, right? Here's the flag. And now it's going to break and try to make, it made a new high on Friday, and it's going to hopefully try to make even higher highs, right? The MACD reversed back to green. So if we look at this, the MACD put in it flipped to red, and then it's flipped right back to green, and it did a bullish cross. And this is pretty low. It can get back as high as these levels here. So there's a lot of room for the MACD to run. The RSI is pointing straight up, and there's probably 15 points before it wants to stop and turn around. The TTM put in its first green candle on Friday. It's a very small candle, but it's green, right? It's not red. I know this is confusing. Hold on, let me just switch this up real quick. This is supposed to be red. This one is yellow. This one is dark blue, and this one is light blue. Yeah, okay. So it put in its first blue candle on a MACD. On a TTM. So all 3 indicators say bullish, right? All 3 say bullish, pretty much. That's the gist of it. We might get one more pullback to find support around 300, which would be ideal because that would build up more of a volume shelf here at this area. But that might not happen. Let's not count on it. If you run an algo flow on DocuSign, then you see that the algo flow, the money's flowing into it, which we like. The IV rank is low, which we like. And then I checked out one of the contracts, a 315 call for 917. A bunch of money flowed into it. So the volume greatly exceeded the open interest on Friday. So that's a play that I'll be looking at this week. And then I think that this particular ticker will be less attached to news because they've been talking about Delta variant for like 3 or 4 weeks now, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. And more to technicals. Like as people see what it can do. People see that, first of all, the chart's clean. Second of all, I think people will realize that something like DocuSign just isn't going anywhere. So that's what I have. So I want to get into, I know Jay did Dash. I want to quickly get into Microsoft. And any other requests you guys have, go ahead and just throw it in the chat. So Microsoft is insane.
Yeah, the only two I saw were PayPal and Dash right now. Or PayPal and Microsoft, excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah, Microsoft, I mean, I see like a potential flag here. I also see back-to-back inside weeks. Right. And I'll change the color of these when I post them, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of sell pressure on this past week. Decreasing volume. So let's see. They have earnings in about 7 weeks. I don't know if that's enough for a run-up, but I mean, if it's soon enough for a run-up, but this looks like a flag to me. Last time it formed the flag, it broke out of it, over here. It formed this kind of flag and then it broke out of it. So I'm looking for a similar move. Although personally, I would like for this to go sideways through quad witching. Quad witching is going to get, it's just a sign that we always have to watch out for. We feel confident because we had nice strong weeks and we had a nice strong start to September, but quad witching in September is pretty deadly in my experience. So everything that we have here, we should play light either way. Maybe we can get a little bit of a downside test, maybe come down and test these previous highs over here at 290. But who knows? It's only a 5-point move down. It can undo this one candle in one day and then just chill over here for a few weeks, right? Who knows? Let's see. Let me run a fib on this. Go from here. Yeah. If it holds this level at 300, if it holds 300, then you can see it turn back around and try to test these levels. If it breaks below this 300 and below this, below 300 clean, then we're going to come back down to 296, maybe even down here. There's no volume in this area here because look at how fast they made this move on 2 days. So we can come back to kind of fill some volume up in this area. Let me go ahead and put the volume profile on so you can see it. Yeah, you see how there's like a decrease in the volume in this area over here. So it can easily come back down and just kind of trade in that area, fill it up, and then work its way up or down for Microsoft. The Microsoft change will tell you what it wants to do. I see that the volume has been decreasing slowly. So let's just keep an eye on it. I like this kind of triangle here that it's forming. You can take it from the breakdown or take it to break up from, I personally would like it above this line here at 303.35, which is Thursday's high. But I'll clean this up and post it in the server. I mean, let me just do a full analysis on this. So it's sitting on the 9 on the daily. So the 9 can act as support. If it breaks the 9, then I can see it come back down to test the 21, down at 296. So that lines up. That just lines up too clean, right? So if it does break, play the 295s or the 290s. And if it holds, then you can go ahead and play 305s, maybe even 310 with some time. Linear regression channel, I haven't done in a while. Yeah, linear regression channel says that this is super duper bullish. It's right at the market pulse line. Everything is bullish about this particular thing. It's at the middle of the channel, so it can go sideways to test the bottom and then work its way back up, right? I would see this LRC is just too aggressive. It's just way too aggressive. So let's just ignore that for now. Let's see. Moving averages is sitting on the 9, right? Same thing. No. let's see, momentum. The MACD is bullish, excuse me, MACD is bearish. And then the lines are up high, so we can come down, right? We have to come down to fill some of this space. And this can probably come down to come down to test these previous lows on the MACD. The RSI is up pretty high, though it's stable. It's at 63. This can go either way, to be honest. Yeah, this can go either way. You know, it can just chill here for a bit. And if Microsoft goes sideways, this will slowly melt down, right? Even if it goes sideways, this will just kind of slowly melt down, because this is gauging the relative strength of this candle versus the previous 14 candles. That's what the RSI is. So if the next 5 candles go sideways, then this will drop by itself, right? The TTM is slowly fading. And so with fading volume, you see a little bit of sell pressure, slowly fading buy pressure, RSI kind of slowly. So it's all pretty stable. It's stabilizing. Maybe it'll trade within this triangle for the next couple of days and then break up or down strong with volume. So just whatever move you want, make sure there's volume in the move for Microsoft. Then we have PayPal and then we have Neo. So PayPal to me looks very bullish. If we look at the weekly candles, it sold off crazy on this week, even with the positive earnings. And then it did kind of a bear flag breakdown and it put in this hammer, right? And then after this hammer or the spinning top or whatever, however you want to, it looks more like a spinning top, I guess. It looks like it started to reverse. Now, last week, 2 weeks ago, there was low volume on an upside move. Last week, it was very, very strong volume on an upside move. I think there was a catalyst with PayPal. Was it last week where they were starting to accept, starting to transact Bitcoin or something? There's so much news.
I think they were trading. I think they're going to open a brokerage. That's
what it is. That news came in early last week, and it might have come in on this day where they put in this crazy green candle, right? If you notice, the TTM was stable on these days, and then it fired. So I like, you know, these red dots on TTM are very rare, and when they happen, usually there's a massive move that comes out of it. And as you can see, there was a massive move that came out of it. There's still room to go on the MACD. It put in a strong bullish day, bullish engulfing actually on Friday, and so we can see a continuation potentially. RSI flipped to the bull side, and the TTM is entering. It's, you know, making its way into bull territory, and we can see some highs up to like 18, 19. Right now it's at 10. So I like it. I like PayPal. I haven't played PayPal in a little while, but you know, if we can break above this 292, we can see 295 pretty quickly. And then you can tell, look at where some of these fib levels line up, right? So this would act as support for me right here. Next support would be here and here. Obviously, these are breakdown levels as well, right? Support level, but also breakdown levels. And I know that the colors are confusing, so I'll go ahead and clean them up before I put them in the server. I'm just gonna write a support line on this. Fibonacci support. I saw that S just joined. If you have anything if you wanna jump on, just let me give you a voice, bro. Let me give you a voice. Where you at? And I see somebody has their hand up. TZ has his hand up. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask to unmute. My bad. I don't know how long you had your hand up for, bro.
No, it's cool. I actually just came back. So I see that you're looking at PayPal. I kind of missed probably everything that you just said about PayPal. That was one of my tickers that I had in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to set up leaps.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking like 2023 leaps. So if a person is looking to do that, how would you look at the chart and see when is a good like a good entry? Because I mean, if you think about it, Square, PayPal, Apple, Microsoft, companies like that, I think the only thing that would affect them is a major pullback. But even still, with those kind of companies, they're projected to go higher than where they're at. But also, I have to keep in mind that a lot of companies is at ATMs. I mean ATH, all-time highs.
Mhm.
So how do you, like, what kind of strategy would you suggest, or can you gauge to be able to make a call like that, or hop in a call, or what would be a good place to start looking at for calls like that?
So personally, I think that's a very timely question, being that quad witching is just coming in 2 weeks. This month's quad witching is on the 17th. So I right now we're at very, very high levels. This is a monthly chart on the right. And it's good to look at months sometimes, at the monthly chart, just so you can kind of see what's going on. Now, if you would have bought, let's say you're targeting a 400 leap, right? A 400 2023, right? If you would have bought it here at the top of this candle right here at 308, then you would have been not sitting not too pretty. If you would have bought it down here at, what price is that? If you would have bought it down here just a week later at 220, or a month later at 222, then you would have been up pretty big right now. Now, the thing with leaps is you have to buy it when everything has to be low. The price has to be low. The IV has to be low. The only thing that the volume and the OI both are going to be low, just because they're leaps, right? If you target the right ones. So like IV, when you see something like this, the IV super high, the volume is super high, everything is high over here. When the price is high, everything is high. When the price is low, everything is low. And so right now it's forming an inside month so far, and it's a red month. Last week we had that bullish move. I like it to the upside, but with quad witching, we might get an upside break and then a breakdown. Like it might be something like a really ugly H where it kind of forms a base, goes up, and then comes back down. I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it up here. I wouldn't buy it anywhere over here. I wouldn't buy it anywhere over here. Because you're gonna pay, somebody bought it down here. Somebody bought it here, and when you buy it up here, you're buying it from this person who bought it here, who's selling it to you, even if it's a leap.
Right.
I would, the thing with leaps are just like shares. You got to trust the company. You got to make sure the company, that they have a growth strategy that's not acquisition, right? It has to be growth, like internal growth, like innovation, some new products, whatever the case is. And with PayPal setting up to as an exchange, that's super duper strong. 2 weeks ago would have been a great place to buy leaps. Even last week would have been a pretty good place to buy leaps. I would wait for this. I mean, and that's the thing, like, 290, you're buying it at 290 when somebody bought it at 270, right? It's not terrible. My particular strategy with leaps, with something like a green week like this, is, I like to buy with anything. I like to buy even numbers. So 2, 4, 6, 10. I would buy one here and then reasonably expect it to pull back. And then I would bring my average down, right? Like I would buy one to watch it. And then as it gives me a better price, I would add. Like that's what I've been doing with Palantir. I bought a couple, I waited, it gave me a way better price. I bought some more, waited, it gave me a better price. I bought some more. And so, I mean, that's the thing with that is you're gonna lose money. It's kind of it's not the best strategy. With shares is good because you could just buy shares at any level and just keep buying and buy, every week, just buy some shares. With leaps, you still have to, you're moving on a premium. The premium is moving based on underlying. So you're paying higher here than somebody would have paid down here. Like that, whatever leap that you were targeting is probably already up like 15%, based on these last 2 weeks.
Right.
If you like PayPal for leaps, I would just wait for it to give you like a really, really nasty sell-off. It sold off here and it sold off here. So it might come back to this level and sell back off. The only other thing that I see though is it's in this uptrend. You know, has that uptrend line there, and then it has an even more aggressive one here. You know, so I would just personally, I would wait until you get a better entry. Maybe this quad witching will give you the entry. So I would just chill on it. You know, play right now. It looks like it wants to give you some upside. So maybe play some monthlies or some weeklies on it to the upside. And then once you start seeing it sell off, look at the contract that you want to buy. Like it's obviously been at 310. So I would probably buy like the 320, 330, 340, 350s. The 350 is probably the best bet for 2023. And as it starts selling off, just start watching the price of the 350. You know, watch what it does. And then if you guys are on Webull or Thinkorswim, you can chart contract prices. So you can chart the price, chart the contract price, see what the support and resistance is, put some moving averages on it, do everything that you do with regular tickers, do them with the contracts. And then when you see it finding support, then you pick one up real quick, you know, just watch it. I mean, that's my best advice. Do you guys, S or J, you guys have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, so I was going to chime in. So for a general rule of thumb, not just like PayPal, what you want to do is set up your alerts, right? So like pull up TSM and let's look at the weekly and monthly. And when we look at this, we'll see that it hits that area like right around, what's that, 103 to 108. So set up an alert for when it breaks below 108. And every time it breaks below 108, you add to your leaps. So you could have added 3 times throughout this, and that's basically coming down and hitting support. And as you add, you wait for that break. And I mean, you could almost probably get out just based off the past 2 weeks run, right? And now that you're over your major resistance of the middle lines, your next price target would be, what's that, like 128 almost. So to me, the way you would do it is just set alerts for lower support ends. So like TSM, this works well. Peloton, which is basically sitting on support right now. Another one that works well on the weekly. You add every time you hit those areas, and then you'll be able to sell once it finally rips off. Like this is inverse head and shoulders on the weekly for Peloton. So if you were adding each one of these spots and then let it run back up to like the 160 range, you're sitting good from 100 to 160, right? That's 60 points on your leap, depending on when you took it. Even if you took the 130, you got 30 points on it. So that's kind of how I would set up leaps, is just set alerts for those lower support ranges. If it never hits it, guess what? You don't have to take a leap on that stock. But if it does happen to hit those supports and hold, you get to hop in and add some more. So that's just a strategy I've been working on. Those are ones that have kind of been running. Or you can look at something like Jumia, which basically went on a hard decline and now kind of started basing and might be starting to reverse back up. So again, it came down and hit that heavy support that it's sitting on. You can see back to the left there off that cup and handle. It's sitting on support and now we're lifting up. So if we look at the monthly, it also looks like we have a little bit of reversal starting. So once we get above that August candle, we can start looking to add leaps for another run up, hopefully. So those are 2 ideas that I would keep in mind. And it's all about setting your support alerts though. Because we don't, like Huey said, we don't want to be buying at the highs.
Yeah, otherwise you got to buy high and sell higher, and that's hard to do.
Yeah.
S, you want to take the screen? And Jay, go ahead. Sorry, bro.
Yeah, if I could just jump in real quick because I got to hop. But
Yeah.
Crypto, like if you don't mind me sharing real quick, because this kind of brought me to something I've been playing. It's Fiverr. So what caught my interest was this big gap down. Now I've got like I think I've got this coming January play in this. So it's not as far out, but everything that S and Huey said about, not getting in at like here or here or here, because, like here and here is not as bad simply because it's got this peak to go. But these have made run-ups, and this I'm looking at the daily. But what really caught my interest here on something like Fiverr for a like 4 or 5 month play was this big gap and then this volume shelf here. It held this 180 volume shelf, or it gapped beneath it, and then now it started to hold it. So now this has given me conviction to play a longer play. I know it's this gap fill is the first, the first thing in play. And then I can start looking at, once it fills the gap, what's next in play? Is this 260, this little peak? What's next in play? This little volume, this small volume shelf up here. What's next in play is 336. And if you go out to like the monthly, what has it been doing? It's just basically been building this flag here. So these are the things that I look for on my longer term plays. And it just kind of reiterates what S and Huey said, is you cannot buy on the peaks. Like, just because it's moving up, and it goes back to what Huey literally just said, was it's hard to buy high and assume higher, especially when, if you're looking at 2023, even 2022, or in my case, in this trade, it's basically 2021, but it's January of 2022. I don't want to be buying peaks and hoping that it goes, because if I've got, let's say I did this in February and I started buying up here as it started moving up, as opposed to buying down here, I have to hope and pray that it keeps going up. And let's say this is February, let's say I bought a January leap, a 1 year leap to January 2022. Now I had to live through all of this pain. So as opposed to even buying down here or buying here, then I'm only looking at, it's hard to do that. Even if I bought it like this one, I'm only living through this much pain now, so fundamentally, first and foremost, you have to have a lot of faith in this company over the next, year and a half. And then you can start looking at what's it doing on the chart. Am I buying at tops or am I buying at bottoms? So that's my strategy on looking at like farther dated contracts. Otherwise, if you're doing shares, just dollar cost average in, every month, even if you bought up here, a month later, you could have bought down here. A month later, you could have, bought here. Another month later, you could have bought here. Another month later, you'd buy here, buy here, buy here. Next thing you know, even though you bought some up way up here at 336, you're averaging down into the one, this current month, you're at 180. Your average is probably still around 260, which is very much manageable. Versus trying to get leaps and time. Like, your timing is critical in terms of options in general, but especially leaps. You can't buy this break up here and just keep assuming that we're gonna go up here.
So one thing that kind of resonated there was, if you were listening, basically whatever your trading strategy is, just up your time frame. And look at it for leaps, because JCat was basically playing his triple tap for a leap. He was playing his style, never buy on green days kind of thing, buying on reds, and mine was essentially inside bar reversals. Just we bumped it up to weekly and monthly time frames to get a better look at the long term. So remember that whatever time frame you're looking at, that defines the length of your trade as a whole.
Yeah.
Another thing to keep in mind.
But guys, I gotta hop. Great to be back on. Huey, I know you guys got this, but I'll see you guys either in the server. I should be in a little bit later, probably. Otherwise, I'll see you throughout the week. Everybody that's not a part of Gold Rush, which I think everybody here is, but if you're not, goldrushgang.net, we'd love to have you.
Appreciate you, Jay.
All right, and I'll just take over for a couple minutes. I posted all my
Yeah, go
watch
for
list stuff. So I just wanted to point out Microsoft real fast on the weekly. Look at this beautiful inside bar sitting up at the all-time high, still already tapped in. It's actually double inside bars. Last week was as well. And then when we get into the daily, we got a nice tightening range here. We finished up on the inside bar after a little dip. So let's see if we can reverse here and head for higher. either way, we come down and retest some of these lower spots, we'll still be in a good spot to rebound up off of it on the next reversal. But I think we might kind of be ready to continue higher just based on the other stuff. And then I had PayPal up here just because that's what Huey was talking about when I came in. And PayPal also looks pretty good. Kind of has a little flag look to it. Huey probably covered all this stuff, so I'll just do it real quick. Had this, it's called a 3-bar. Basically has a lower low than the bar before, but also a higher high. So it engulfs the whole bar previous. So I'm going to be watching this closely tomorrow to see where we open and the price action here. If we can continue over Friday's high, then we're most likely breaking out. If we pull back down, I want to see us hold the 286 area and not hop back in the trend to make sure that this wasn't a fake out, because that volume wasn't huge to get it moving. It was very similar to the day prior, not far off. And then also V, we kind of have this inside bar here. But to me, it kind of feels like it might be continuation. Thinking like 3-bar play to a downside, and even the weekly, we had that full engulfing candle. So we'll see how it moves. Wells Fargo, we got a little bit of a bear flag going on the daily here with an inside bar. So the idea of this possibly continuing further down is high, but we'll just see if it stays above the trend and above the yellow. And I had said in the thing that BAC looks kind of similar. We got another inside bar here, and it looks like it's kind of reversing, similar like Wells Fargo might be. So just an idea. If you prefer to play Bank of America over Wells Fargo, when it comes to banks, it's kind of dealer's choice. And those are the main ones. I mean, we can look at AMC. AMC also on the weekly gave us an inside week last week. It's a little bit uglier. But the plays are there for AMC on both sides. We have big risk rewards for any break here. So if we heat back up, definitely like the 48.20 is a good price target there. I know we had some, inside weeks. BAC, so BAC had an inside week last week too. These MUs and Ubers are looking kind of juicy, not so much on the daily, but the weekly. Here's MU, kind of possible reverse continuation there. Uber, I think, was roughly the same. Yeah, so Uber kind of inside bar on the weekly, and then the week was pretty tight overall, obviously. So I'm still considering breakout here. That's kind of a retest of this line if we extend it out to there. So we broke down, came up, retested, and we might be continuing back down. Your safe entries there basically is below 40. And then I think it was this one that looks really pretty. Yeah, look at that 3-bar play on Draftkings setting up. So I don't know. Did you cover Draftkings already, Huey?
I don't remember.
Because I know it was on your watch last week, but that 3-bar play on the weekly there, and then the daily is kind of still on this ascending wedge, is looking pretty juicy. I know T already has a call in for this week, so that this might actually pop and take off. But those are, I'm just trying to be fast for everything.
You want to take a look at Neo real quick?
Yeah, that popped up. I looked at that as well. I didn't chart it, but it has a good look to it. The weekly, not too shabby, but the daily was kind of tightening up in this range, pretty nice. Inside bar, so we could essentially run it up from here to here. So 39.83 on the low side, 41 to the top side, and we got a lot of room to the top side. First price target 42.28 from 41, and again these are fast because they're not necessarily, and then 44.35 if we actually get that momentum to push it through. 9's about to cross the 20. We keep this bullish action on a daily. 9's went across the 20, give us a little push, and we might have a little slowdown here at 50 in the 43.40 range.
What's that orange line?
Orange line is the 100.
And the 200 is a pink one?
Yep.
Okay,
all
cool.
all the way up here, it's right in this 45.12.
Yeah.
So,
Those MAs are pretty tight, pretty close and tight together. Nice
Yep.
look on it.
yep. And even if we get a little consolidation and brings these in closer, that's when we'll really get the pop. So, but yeah, I was just trying to run through real fast. I know I came in late. But
we
my
appreciate it.
my biggest one is Microsoft this week, because I did show the weekly double inside bars on the weekly, setting up pretty good. Sleeper could possibly be CRM, another weekly inside bar. It struggled up at these highs here, so if we can get over, kind of almost has a triple tap feel coming on the daily here. So if we try to push through the trend another time, lift off, just so happens it's right with support here, right? Get through both at the same time, run up to 281. So CRM would be your sleeper for the week.
I love it. That's a nice clean chart. Nice, simple. That sitting on the moving average right at the moment. So it's
Yep,
pretty
right
nice.
on the 9. Yep, still pushing up. Had good earnings. So
Did
I
they
think-
already? Did they finish the acquisition with work with Slack already? Or
yeah, I think that was like a month ago,
okay.
roughly. I think that finished. That might have been back here, maybe. I think it was at like end of July, if I remember. So,
You
Yep.
guys have any additional requests for us to put on these beautiful charts? Yeah, we went through a lot today. I think we went for like an hour and a half already, and we just blew
Awesome.
through a whole bunch of charts.
yeah, that's why I was trying to go fast. I know you guys already spent some good time. I just want to throw some insight to what I post. I try to put more words on my watch list stuff just in case I didn't make it.
Yeah, we appreciate the cameo.
Yeah. All right, that's all I got. So I appreciate everybody came out. I know we had little issues early, but everybody rocks with us. We love you guys, and yeah, we'll be ready for tomorrow for sure.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys. And if you guys have anything you want to add, anything, just go ahead and throw it in the watch list. Anything that you're looking at this week. And yeah, let's have a strong Tuesday. Remember, volatility is going to be high based on a short week. It's September, so don't get caught sleeping. And yeah, let's have another strong week, guys. Thank you guys for pulling up. We'll see you tomorrow.